Hey you guys, it's Lindsay. I don't even know anymore. Hey you guys, it's Lindsay back again, and I look like I'm dying. Physically dying. These aren't getting any better. There's now one here on the top of my head, which wasn't there before. On the side, that side looks horrible. The top looks horrible. This side looks horrible. It's gotten so bad to the point where my mom is actually thinking about getting me a wig. Because I can't even put my hair up in a pony anymore. Not that I want to, but I kind of miss putting my hair up in messy buns and ponies and braids, and I can't really do that anymore. Even though that I never really did braids, but it was on occasion. Anyway, I look like a freaking mess. There's a pimple here, there's a pimple here, it's not even a pimple. It's a zit. I have a zit here, right here on the side of my cheek, a zit here, and then a zit here. And I'm just of all times, God, my body hates me. My body is probably Lindsay, you are so insecure about yourself. Isn't that a pity? Look, okay, yes, I have insecurities. No, I don't do these things for attention. No, I'm not insecure for attention. No, I'm not lying about what is going on. No. I try to stay positive the best that I can, because if I start to make myself go into what I call an episode, or a mental breakdown, or a emotional breakdown, or any kind of breakdown, or a panic attack, or, basically anything, I try not to, think too negatively, because it brings me down, and that's not something that we want. Yes, I am wearing a shirt underneath this. It is a Nike shirt. Do not judge me. I am cold, and yet I am wearing shorts. I don't care. Anyway, Bandit is up there in my blinds. You can't see him. His tail's just hanging out. It's fine. It's Gucci. He's good. Yes, I am very yes, I'm very insecure about my body, and I'm very insecure about my looks, even though that looks don't matter. To me, the personality is what matters. But anyway, when it comes to my body, I just don't feel like I'm normal. I feel like I'm very abnormal. And you're like, well, Lindsay, that's what makes you unique. And I'm like, yes, I know that, but there are things that other people can easily do, or struggle to do but still do, and I can't do it at all. Because if you guys don't know, I have something that's called scoliosis. And I'm pretty sure that I've told you guys about this before, but basically I wasn't diagnosed until I was 12. So I was diagnosed in 6th grade. When I was in elementary school, no, not even, where do I begin? You guys know that, when I was born, I had apparently the longest umbilical cord that the doctors had ever seen. When my mom gave birth to me, basically, I don't think that you guys know about this part. So, I had a doctor, and let's just say she put my mom through hell, and she put me through hell, too. I'm not gonna say her name, but, basically what ended up happening, I guess you could say, is that she was working at the office, and my mom was in labor with me I was supposed to be born on the 5th, I think. Yeah, I was supposed to be born on the 5th. I didn't end up getting born until the 9th. Not the 9th, the 8th. Oh my god, I am so freaking stupid. I'm thinking of... Never mind. Yeah, no, I was supposed to be born on the 5th. I was born on the 8th at 1:02. At 1:02 p.m. PM? Yeah, PM. I believe my mom was in labor with me for, I want to say... I was supposed to be born on the 5th. I didn't get born till the 8th. So 24 hours. 24 hours. Basically, she had me... Yeah, 3 days after my actual, what was supposed to be my due date, but she didn't start having contractions. Maybe she's... I don't remember. It's been told to me so many times, you would think I remember, but I don't. Even though that I remember certain things, and yet I don't remember others. God, I'm so stupid. But anyway, what ended up happening was... I don't remember how long my mom was in labor with me for, but it turned out to be a very long time. Basically what ended up happening was my doctor, well, the person who was supposed to be there at the hospital was at her office, and she thought that my mom wasn't, like, gonna go into, like, labor yet. Like, she thought that she had, like, the whole day to, like, work and stuff, and, I probably should have came out, not naturally, but through a C-section, but they didn't give my mom a C-section, which is bad on their part, but, you know, it doesn't matter now. I'm here, I'm alive. I'm not the greatest, I'm not the wellest. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't say wellest, because that is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, she called, no, the nurses and the doctors called my doctor and told her to rush down to, you know, like, I was being born, like, my mom was having contractions, she was going into labor, and she didn't answer the phone the first time, so I think that they called her a second time, and I think that I don't think that she still, I don't know if she answered yet or not. It was a few rings that she finally answered. I'm tired, I never got any sleep last night. Anyway, they called her, and they were like, you need to get down here ASAP. My mom, she's going into labor. Well, I'm not gonna say mom. Wait, Michelle, she's going into labor. That's my mom's name, Michelle. They're like, Michelle's going into labor. You need to get down here ASAP. They called for, what was it? They had all the teams down there. They had the whole entire, neonatal unit down there. They had the doctors, I think the nurse, my doctor was there, except she got there, like, super late. And when, like, cause, like, when I came out, the, umbilical cord was, basically choking me to death. I don't know exactly what happened, like, during my mom's pregnancy, but somehow I was born cradle breached, so I had, like, turned over, like, multiple times, so I had eventually, I think, wrapped myself around the cord, so basically, I was choking myself to death, even though that I was not even alive into the world yet. I was alive, but not in the world yet, and, like, the doctors said that it was the longest umbilical cord that they had ever seen, so when I came out, I was, like, super blue in the body and the face, and I was just completely blue. I didn't have any, like, white color to me, it was just blueness. So I was basically suffocating because I couldn't breathe, so they had to, get the umbilical cord off of my neck so I could start breathing. They put me under a warmer, and I finally started to get my pinking, started to pinken up, like, I started to get color to me, the blue faded away, I was able to finally start breathing somewhat normally, and my mom had, I think that I had just either, maybe, I don't remember exactly, but either my mom was holding me and she had just gotten me from the warmers, which I don't think that I was allowed out of the warmers yet, but my doctor had went up to her and she, like, went into her ear and she was like, you had 4 minutes to push her out, otherwise she would have been dead. And whose fault would that be? You didn't answer the damn ass phone when they were literally calling you for an emergency ASAP. They had the whole entire damn neonatal unit down there. They had the nurses, they had the freaking, they had everything. Like, it would have been your fault if I didn't make it because you couldn't get your ass here because you thought that you had time to work. The nerve of some people. Anyway, you'll understand where I'm going with this. So, when I was with that doctor, I'm not with that doctor anymore, thank God, but I had her for most of my life. And what ended up happening was in elementary school, when I did gym and stuff, like, whenever I laid, like, on my back, I couldn't lay flat. Like, something was, like, it was, like, when I laid on my back, I was rocking back and forth on my back. Like, I couldn't lay straight. So we knew that something was up, and I constantly had things like slight back pain, and at first it wasn't a super big deal, but I think that I've had scoliosis since birth, and it might have been caused for the reason that I was cradle breached for so long, and the fact that no one ever, like, realized it. So I had super bad leg cramps for growing pains, and I still get leg cramps even though that I am done growing. I don't know if I've told you guys this or not, I'm pretty sure that I have, but all of my growth platelets, they're closed, so, they're done growing, basically. I'm 5'1", I'm done growing, so, but anyway, when I went to the doctor, she told me that everything was fine. My back was perfectly straight. I had a perfectly straight spine. I was healthy. I was happy. Such a liar. It wasn't until years and years and years and years had passed as my back only got worse. The curvature was able to go into the top part of my spine and the bottom part of my spine. Because at first I think that I only had one curve. But, like I just said, she said that I was fine, even though that I couldn't lay flat on my back and I was rocking back and forth. and I was having back pain in, like, my lower back and, like, the middle, and I could never figure out why, and each time when I went to her, she never did any kind of x-ray, I don't think she ever tested me for scoliosis, actually, because she always just, like, felt my back, and she's like, no, your spine, no, like, your spine is perfectly straight, like, you're all good. Well, but I think this is, I think, the time that we had to switch everything because medical insurance was different, so I had to see a different doctor, and we never told her that we were leaving, so we just, like, last time that we saw her, we said goodbye, we didn't say this is the last time we're gonna see you, we just left. Me and my mom both disliked her very much because she put us both through hell, and she was one of the reasons that all that happened. And the fact that she said that my back was straight even though that it wasn't. So basically, I found a new doctor that I see now previously until I'm like 18. Pediatrician, of course. As soon as I complain about back pain to her, she has me bend over. She takes one finger, slides it down. She looks at my mom, then at me. She's like, she has scoliosis. Same, Bandit, same. Yeah, that was my reaction too. Thank you, Bandit, for your input. Yeah. I had progressed badly over the years that I had no clue that my back, or well, spine was hella effed up. Because no one ever checked me for scoliosis. And if they did, they lied to me and said that my back and spine were perfectly fine. It wasn't until I was 12. And then, of course, the whole entire freaking process of that had to happen, you know. It was not a fun process. You know, just go, get a back brace made, get it molded. Process was relaxing, outcome not so much, hurt like hell, was made fun of because it looked like I had a turtle shell, was slammed into lockers, constantly was falling down, constantly got stuck on chairs, constantly. The only plus thing about that back brace that I had at the time, which I still have the pink one and the white one, the pink one was my first one, the white one was my second. I'll explain more. The pink one was my first one. I was molded into it, they made it, and they had cut out a hole in the back, which I hated that because it had my shoulder bone, like the back of my shoulder blade bone, like sticking out, and like I didn't feel comfortable that I was covered everywhere else, but like half my side was like sticking out, and it, like the bottom of the back brace could constantly be shown underneath shirts. And the thing that also sucked is that you couldn't like make the material of the inside touch your skin because it would irritate your skin very badly, and it would lead like super bad rashes and could possibly lead to an infection because of the material that's used. So you constantly had to wear, well, I constantly had to wear a tank top or some kind of undershirt and then put my back brace on, which you had to stretch that thing, shimmy it on, close it, Velcro it one, Velcro it two. pull it as tight as you possibly could. Felt like a corset. No, I don't know what a corset feels like, but I would imagine that's how it felt because it hurt like hell. And it felt like I was wearing a corset because it eventually gave me somewhat of a figure because of how much I was wearing that thing. And you had to wear it basically 24/7, or at least, I believe, 15 hours a day? Possibly, something like that. And, you know, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a sucky year. 6th grade was hell. I was constantly getting pushed into lockers. I was constantly falling or tripping. I remember there was one time that I was walking down the school hallway and I didn't realize that one of my shirts had lifted up because the Velcro had gotten caught onto it, and like when I was sitting, the back brace, since it was like a soft material, it had lifted up the shirt, and it was like to here, not like showing my boobs or anything, but like it was, because you know the back brace basically covered everything, so like you could just see the back brace. And then I like tried pulling it down, and I usually tucked like the bottom of the shirts if they were like long enough or if they were stretchy enough. I usually tucked them underneath the back brace so that way it wouldn't, except they would usually come undone, so it was no use anyway. But I tried to hide it, and I couldn't, and I felt very uncomfortable wearing it. It hurt to sit down, it hurt to do anything, it hurt to move. I couldn't bend over, it hurt like hell. I couldn't do anything about it. I was constantly in pain. They were like, you have to wear it so that way it doesn't progress, even though that I didn't know that I was done growing. Which I would have been done a lot sooner had I known that. But anyway, basically, flash forward a year. The only positive thing about that is that if someone was to punch me in my side, well, now I'm not protected anymore, but if someone was to punch me in my side, which I actually asked my friends to do to me multiple times, and one of my friends almost broke her hand punching it, because I was like, I want you to punch my side as hard as you possibly can. Don't hold back any force at all. Just go straight for it. Just punch it as hard as you can. And she was like, are you sure about this, Lindsay? This is gonna hurt, like, badly. And I was like, yeah, I'm positive. I'm very, very sure. She looked at me weird. She was like, if this hurts you, it's not my fault. And I'm like, if only you knew. BAM! She shook her hand and her hand was red, and I heard like the back brace slam against her hand, and she was like, what the hell was that? A lot of people actually told me that because I was in like a, you know, back brace and it was plastic, it protected me from basically any harm around my sides. So if someone was to punch me, unless they punched me like right here where the back brace was cut out at, or maybe it was on this side, I don't remember, but it was one of the sides, if they would have like punched me there, that would have hurt like hell. But if they would have punched me like anywhere like on the back or like on the sides, it wasn't gonna hurt at all. I was fully protected. It felt like wearing body armor underneath all of your clothing, and it sucked. And the thing that made it even worse is that when all of the sweat built up, well, for one, it gave me a lift here. For two, it gave me somewhat of curves and a slight hip figure. It gave me a lot of like cleavage lift because it was like, you know, it goes up to here. And it, like, I constantly felt uncomfortable, and I could only wear like non-wired bras. Like, I had to wear like bras without like wire in them. Like, I was not wearing actual like cupped bras. I'm actually like, I sometimes wear padded, not padded, but like cupped bras that are wired. But like they're mostly t-shirt bras that I have that are wired because they're comfier, because they have like a stretchier like band right here, so that way it doesn't like completely suffocate me and like dig into my skin like most bras do, which are very uncomfortable. Guys, you would not know the struggle. Anyway, I usually wear like these are so stretched out. I usually wear like basically what you would wear, I guess, for training bras, except they're not. They're bras. But they're like they're not wired. So they're comfier. So that's what I always had to wear because it hurt way too much to wear a bra with that back brace. Like I felt like I was literally dying. Like I was in so much pain. And another thing that sucked is that each time that you couldn't run in it, you would literally trip and fall if you even tried. You couldn't do any like physical activities or anything because you would hurt yourself badly. There was one time that I actually was at my locker and I fell onto my back because I had lost my balance and it hurt like hell. There were times that if I was sitting on the floor, I would tip backwards and not be able to get myself back up, and it was super awkward because everyone was watching me. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, flash forward a year. Basically a lot of people said that I was like wearing a turtle shell and like that was my protection, the only protection that I had. But it wasn't comfortable at all. It felt so uncomfortable. Like I'm happy that most of you don't know the struggle, because if you did, I feel ya. Scoliosis gang, where you at? But no, like seriously, like it was flash forward a year in 7th grade is when I had the big tragic, not accident, but tragedy happen where I started to have back spasms. So if you guys don't know what a back spasm is, it's basically where your muscles start to tighten and like they get super tight and like you just feel your whole body tense up, and it makes you in excruciating pain and you want to scream and cry. And mine was so bad at the time because I didn't have back spasms yet until I started wearing the back brace more and more. So the back brace wasn't helping me, it was only making it worse because I was done growing. So the fact that I was still wearing it was hurting me physically. When I still remember that physically. Yeah, I remember it. I was on my bed. My mom was like, hey, it's time to get up for school. Dragged me out of bed. I immediately collapsed. I couldn't stand at all. My legs were way too weak to stand. I could not hold my upper body strength. I remember we had to call an ambulance here. The ambulance were like, I'm gonna walk behind her. I'm going to like lift her up like by her back brace, and you're going to lift her up like this, and she is going to walk very slowly down the stairs, because they had brought, not in like a stretcher because our apartment's way too narrow for that, it would not fit up the stairs, no offense, so they had to bring in like a blanket so that way they could like carry me down the stairs, and like basically one of them was holding on to like the underneath, or well, maybe it was me. It was somewhere on my backside, and they were guiding me down the stairs because I had to keep going down the stairs, and then I walked outside, and then instead of going in the ambulance, we went in my mom's car. They were like, we don't want you to get like charged for this because, you know, you don't need hospital bills and stuff, and we don't know what's wrong with her. So I think that you should just rush her to ER yourself, and hopefully they'll get you right in. That process. Wheeled me in a wheelchair. Still couldn't stand up. Even when they had to take my weight, I was struggling to keep my body weight up because I couldn't. And I remember, once they wheeled me back into that room, hell began. I remember first they made me take a urine test. Of course, they tested me for pregnancy, which, negative. You know, asked me questions like what hurts, pain level, like, they gave me pain pills, they didn't inject me with an IV, thank freaking God, but they did, however, take, I believe it was 3 vials of blood. That was only the beginning of the blood testing. And I remember it took them hours and hours to finally finish that process. Long ass process. I was laying there wanting to die because I was in so much freaking pain. I was probably above a 10 in pain level. I was screaming nonstop. They told me to stop screaming because I was probably scaring the kids that were like already scared enough, so the fact that I was screaming wasn't gonna help, and it was only gonna make my pain worse because I was tensing. So that didn't help. So basically what ended up happening was it finally rolled around to like probably maybe around 5 or 6 p.m. after we had gotten there we arrived at the hospital at like, I want to say around 9 or 10 a.m. and we were there until 5 to 6 p.m. Well, in that room anyway. And they came in and they were like, she's obviously having back spasms. She's obviously in a lot of pain. We are going to need to keep her down in I can't remember the name of it, but is it Cooper? It's Covenant. I know it's Covenant. I know that, but like it's like the kids section where like I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, I traveled for a long time. That was a very long bed ride. I was just laying there with all of my stuff, my back brace, like on my bed next to me. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you, back brace. I absolutely hate you. I was out of it. I was in so much pain. I didn't care anymore. So they finally eventually got me transferred over to where I was going to be staying. I knew that it wasn't in the same building. It was in like I don't remember the name of the building that I was in, but it was like the kids, where like the kids stayed, I guess you could say. And the thing is that flu season was really bad, so a lot of the rooms were full. So I never told you guys this. I'm shocked that I never told you guys this, but anyway, you know, they rolled me into the room. They were like, this is where she'll be staying for now, and it was like 8 o'clock at night now. And they were like, she looks very hungry. And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm starving. So I think that they brought me popsicles and, they brought me those little tiny packets of like flavoring. I think it was like chicken broth. And then they like gave me hot cups of water and I would like pour the powdered chicken broth in and then I'd like stir it around and then boom, you got chicken broth. I remember ordering food and then getting it. Like, I did that a lot. I had a lot of food that week. Well, half week in the hospital. I remember that at first they didn't know what they wanted to do. They knew that they needed to do MRI scans. They didn't know when they could get them done. They wanted to get me comfortable first. They knew that I was tired. So I I'm pretty sure that they finally let me sleep after coming in hundreds and hundreds of times and bothering me and keep asking me the same exact questions that I've already answered. I just realized how off topic this is, but it's also like part of it, so anyway. Basically, what ended up happening was I woke up the next morning, there were doctors in my room. They were like, hey, Lindsay, you need to get up, you need to talk to us. And I was like, okay, what do you guys need to know or need? And they were like, Lindsay, we need to get you an MRI scan because we need to figure out where the pain is coming from and what is causing it. And the thing that causes my back spasms are because there is fluid buildup on my spine. And that is what caused it in the first place, was the fluid buildup, but they couldn't do anything about it. They didn't know that yet. So they scheduled an MRI. They were like, this is going to take a while. A lot of people are scheduled for an MRI today. There's a lot of people sick. We're trying to get to you and all the others, like, you know. So I just lay there, and my mom had brought my iPad and stuff, so I was like texting people like, hey, I'm okay. Like, they knew that I had like been rushed to the hospital and stuff, and I was like, hey, you guys, please pray for me that I'm gonna be okay. I feel like I'm dying. I literally feel like I want to die. I'm in so much freaking pain right now. You guys have no clue. And they were like, we're praying for you. There were people that were posting on their stories. They were like, pray for Lindsay, she needs it. And a few hours had passed, and they... This woman comes in, she's like, blood test? And in my mind I was thinking, I literally just had one yesterday! So once again, she's like, put your arm out, clench your fist. I always look away because I hate seeing the needle. She poked it in, and she drew 3 more vials of my blood. And the thing is that I am very anemic, and if you guys don't know what that means, it's that when I lose blood, I become very faint, and I become very fatigued. I experience a lot of fatigue. I experience dizziness, lightheadedness, feel sick. I start burning up in like a hot fever. I feel sick to my stomach. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like, my eyes, they don't look like they have life in them anymore. Like, the color just completely, like, fades over, and it looks like my eyes are super glassy. And it wasn't fun. So I was like, okay, maybe that's, like, the last thing that I'll have to do. A few hours more pass. I'm just still texting people. I start playing games on my iPad because I'm bored, and I think my mom had went out of my room. Yeah, she had. And then I was like, I'm bored. So I turn on the TV, you know, sit there, watch that for a while, go back on my iPad, wait a few more hours. My mom finally eventually gets back from whatever she was doing. I think she came home to feed the cats, and I think that she picked up my grandma along the way. I don't really remember. I don't remember much of it. I still remember parts though. But anyway, later at night that day, the second day that I was staying in the hospital, they took MRI scans. Not fun at all. Put my earplugs in, you know, just tried falling asleep. I was so fucking pissed. I feel the bed roll out, and I think that I'm finally done. I realize that she is standing there with a freaking needle and 3 more vials. I'm like, lady, you just took my blood today. Why do you need more? and she pokes me, and I want to scream and cry, and I'm just like, this is fucking torture. So, she takes 3 vials of my blood, they roll me back underneath into the machine, still sitting there, just listening to the sounds, trying to fall back asleep after I was asleep, and then she freaking woke me up. Anyway, maybe that would be the last time that I would get poked. So I go back to my room, I fall asleep, I wake up the next day, and the doctors are all standing around me. They were like, we got the MRI. Slight problem. They took the MRI in the wrong spot. They did what now? They did what? She's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't think that we exactly specified what region of the area that we were looking for. We were looking for, like, what's causing you back pain, and instead they took a wrong MRI picture of your, like, middle of your back instead of your lower back where the pain is, and I'm just like, fucking kill me, please. So I sat there and I was like, God, please help me, please. Like, seriously, like, I'm in so much freaking pain, just freaking help me, please. And I remember every single day the nurses would come in and they would try to get me to walk, and I still wasn't stable enough to walk yet. A few hours had passed, they came in again, they were like, Lindsay, you need to try walking. They're like, we're trying to help you the best that we can, like, you need to try and walk. So I get up, I immediately fall over, but they catch me, and they put this belt thing around me, and they're like, we're going to hold on to you. And I, of course, had the walker, and I was holding on to it, and I was like, Lindsay, you can do this. You're strong. You're independent. A woman can accomplish anything if she puts her mind to it. So I got up, pushed myself off the bed, grabbed the walker, almost falling over, walked. They didn't let go, though, because they knew that I would have fallen like forwards if they would have let me go, because I couldn't keep my balance still. So they were like, Lindsay, yes, you did it. You started walking again. And I felt some body strength come back, but not much. I was still extremely weak. Third day comes, I believe that the doctor wasn't there that day, so they couldn't do the MRI. But, once again, I was just, focusing on, like, doing my own thing. I was drawing, I was, I'm pretty sure that I was either making Musical.lys or TikToks. I was posting, I was texting people, I was watching TV, still drawing, and all of a sudden I think that I was actually on a video call with someone. Maybe, I don't remember, because I was video calling my friends. Yeah. And basically what ended up happening was, once again, I was bothered, and I look up, and I see another needle with 3 more vials of blood, and I'm like, just get it, please. Put my arm out, wrap it in a fist, don't look, feel it go in. As soon as she took out that 3 more vials of blood, after I had already had 3 more vials of blood drawn from me, almost twice every single day that I was there. This was only the third day. I was there 4 days. I had a lot of blood drawn out of me, and I felt so sick and so nauseous, and I felt like I was going to go out, and I was going to go out unconscious. I could not bring myself up to feel myself. I was so out of it. I felt like I wasn't myself at all. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel healthy. I felt so insecure about myself, and like I didn't feel anything good at all. I had no good vibes going. The only proud thing that I had done was that I finally started walking, which was about 2 inches before I started flopping. And she leaves the room, and I just look at my iPad, and I start looking at myself, and I'm like, Lindsay, you're strong. You can get through it. You can get through this. So hours pass, and they're like, we need to move her. I was like, what? And it's like the 4th day now. Maybe it was the 3rd or 4th. It was one of the two. And they were like, we need to move her and do another room because we have more sick patients and she's getting slightly better, so we need to move her and do a different room. I thought that would be over. I thought that I'd get to move and do a different room. Little did I know that it had a screaming girl in it. So I was put in a room with someone, and she was young, and I looked at her, and she was screaming nonstop the whole entire freaking time. I barely got sleep. I could barely sleep. I could barely focus. I could barely hear myself. I could barely think to myself about any kind of thoughts. I remember I had texted one of my friends, and I had texted her, hey, like, I'm in a different room now, because she was coming to visit me earlier that day. And she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be there soon. Also, what's your favorite candy? And I'm like, Smarties, why? And she's like, no reason. And oh my god, that child was a freaking nightmare. Her family was in there. She had, like, brothers and sisters in there. I believe her grandma was in there. Her mom was in there. You just see this whole entire freaking family gathering over on the freaking other side of the room. Like, the curtains are drawn, but, like, I can still see everything. And I'm just like, help me. So my friend walks in, and she's like, hi, Lindsay. And I'm like, hi. And she hugs me, even though that she knows that I'm in pain. She's like, look what I brought you. She brought me a whole entire freaking bag of Smarties and a few get well or feel better. It was one of the two, but they were balloons, and I was like, thank you. And she's like, you're welcome. And then she, like, was visiting me, and then all of a sudden the girl, she had to get her IV changed, and my friend just sat there, and I just sat there staring at her, trying not to lose my mind, while the girl is literally screaming her head off because they are trying to take the IV out of her and then put a new one into her. So I barely got to talk to my friend because this girl was literally screaming nonstop. So my friend leaves, and I'm like, great. So I eat the whole entire damn bag of Smarties. Hours and hours pass by, and I'm still eating freaking Smarties. I eat the whole entire bag by the time that I know it. And the girl with the IV, her IV had slipped out. So they tried to reinsert her IV back in, so she screams her head off some more. And then it slips out again. So they have to place it in her thigh, or in her leg, and she screams even freaking more. And it's just like, kill me, please. And I eventually ended up falling asleep, even though that she was still screaming. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was going to go mentally insane if I didn't get sleep. So I slept, and when I woke up, I had found out that they had done the MRI while I was asleep. I was completely out of it. They said she was out like a light. She didn't feel anything. She didn't hear anything. We couldn't wake her up. She was just still. She wasn't, like, she was breathing and all, but she was still, and she wasn't moving around or anything, and, like, she was out. So I was out of it. I was out cold, because I had barely gotten any sleep, and I was in so much pain, and, like, I'm, like, freaking finally. So the next day, it's, like, I believe the 5th day, my mom gets up early. She's like, come on, it's time to go. I'm like, what? She's like, they're, discharging you, you can leave now. So my mom, fills out, like, the papers and stuff, grabs all of our stuff, and I'm, of course, on my walker, freaking trying to maneuver myself around, which I still can't, so I have to get rolled in a wheelchair while someone else rows the walker beside me. And I felt so not myself. I felt completely wasted. And not, like, drunk, but, like, wasted. Like, I didn't have any energy. I didn't even want to talk. Like, I felt so bad about myself, and I was super insecure, and, like, I knew that people were gonna judge me as soon as I came to school on a walker, and I'm like, welcome to hell once more, Lindsay. And I was still wearing my back brace at this time, but the thing is here's where this story comes into play. When they told me that I needed to wear my back brace again, they tried putting it on me, and I'm like, it's not fitting. And they're like, what do you mean it's not fitting? So they try and wrap it around, and sure enough, it's not fitting. So for the 3 or 4 days that I was there, my back brace wasn't fitting me properly. So I couldn't wear it anymore. So you know what happened? I had to go, once I was somewhat energetic enough, somewhat, and was able to sort of walk after going to physical therapy. I had to go and re-get a brace made, and hence the white. That is where the white brace comes into play. The white brace was comfortable at first, and then I wore it more, and then it got very uncomfortable. And I was walking around, and I felt bulky, and I could barely keep my body weight up, and I was freaking walking the halls like a slow person. Like, I was literally going, like, the tortoise's speed and the tortoise in the hare. Like, I was so freaking slow. It was miserable, and I'm so happy that I don't go to public school anymore, because if I still had to deal with that, that would freaking suck. But anyway, yeah, that's basically what happened. And then 8th grade came around, and I had a relapse. I had to get back on the walker for, I think, a few months, actually. And yeah, that wasn't fun, going through all of that again. And then when I was finally able to start walking again, I sort of got used to it, but at the same time I wasn't used to it, because I just didn't feel normal. And every single time that I looked around me, I would just see people gossiping and staring at me like I was a crazy person. And I was like, you know what? If you knew the pain that I went through, and all the shit that I have to go through every single day of my life, in pain, knowing that I have scoliosis, knowing that I can never play a sport, knowing that if I fall on my knee one more time, it's gonna shatter. That I can't do any physical activity, I can't do any sports, I can't do anything like gymnastics, I can't do horseback riding, I can't do anything of that kind of stuff. I can't do sports in general. I can't even do bowling anymore, and bowling used to be one of my favorite hobbies. But I can swim. But it's not very easy because it's difficult. So, for all of the people that don't know what it's like to have scoliosis, don't try to give it to yourself. And hope to God that you never get it, because it's not fun. And if you think that it's a joke, it's not. I just realized that this video is 55 minutes long. This is probably one of the longest videos that I have ever made, but it had to be told. I don't even remember what I started off this video saying. I don't know where it's gonna end. I have no freaking clue. I'm just completely losing my marbles. I am an insomniac right now. I never got any sleep. I am so sleep deprived right now. I probably have bags underneath my eyes because of how freaking tired I am. But yeah, that was basically my journey that I went on, and it sucked, and I never want to go on it again. I don't even remember what this video was supposed to be about. I've completely lost track of my thoughts. 56 minutes long. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay positive, stay hardworking. Accomplish your dreams, dream big, think big. Always be yourself and live your life to the fullest. Peace.